Alright, hello and welcome back to Let's Play yet another no-name MAME game. Today's no-name MAME game is Laguna Racer. As you can probably tell, this game is very, very old, and not only does that extend to the graphics, of course, but it also means that it's a little hard to just get the game started. So it's basically, well, I'd assume it's like the first racing game ever. I'm sure I'll attract a lot of ire by saying that. I'm sure that great distinction is under contention. Pow! You're done. I kind of love this game's directness. Alright, so the buttons are, you've got a paddle, cripes. Alright, so you've got a paddle for acceleration, you've got a steering wheel for steering, and then you've got a shift switch, I guess, where it can tell if you're still shift. It's clearly not a button, so whenever it starts again, it'll kind of depress. It's like, come on, man, shift to low gear. So, and then I was laughing at the POW earlier. Bam, POW and bam. That's all you need to know, really. But let's see. So I don't know that there's really a point. I mean, like, some games have credit, there are storylines, and some games have challenges, but this game, it just seems to be about driving as far and as wide as you can, but driving nonetheless, while also staying in the boundaries of the track. Not too difficult at all, but sometimes you like a nice kind of simple game like this where you can just kind of meditate and then just space out and just lose an hour of your life. Looking back, it's like, what did I do besides set a new high score in Laguna Racer or something? Pow. Come on. It's very, I don't know, I like the directness of the POW and bam. Although I don't know why they couldn't have programmed in like a little speech bubble or something. Maybe an angry coach yelling at you or something. You are the worst driver I've ever seen. Also, the other drivers seem to be practicing very bad race etiquette. They seem to be going straight for you, making me sort of wonder if, like, maybe you're actually a guy who kind of stole an F1 car, and, like, all the other cars are trying to get you, off the road. And that makes a pretty nice plot for a game. It's like you've just stolen an F1 car, see how long you can drive until you get run off the road. Huh. Well, alternative interpretation, indeed. Still, it does seem to just track your distance and not even give you a smiley face or anything for doing well. But that's, I can deal with it. The gameplay, though, is nice, solid, and once you get past the control scheme, which seems a little arbitrary, it's definitely a very playable game. And I mean, even though we're talking like maybe Atari sort of graphics, these are the good kind of Atari graphics. I mean, they look like what you want them to look like. They look like cars. Not all Atari graphics look like the things they're trying to represent. And I mean, sure, you can make the case that maybe these actually look a little bit like caterpillars, but I say they look like cars. Although we do have an interesting inversion on like the typical racing formula, where like typically in racing games you want to go around a track as fast as possible, but in this game you want to go as far on the track in the same amount of time as possible. I mean, it kind of changes the whole dynamic, but it actually kind of doesn't, just because it's still a racing game. You still want to race as far and as fast and as wide as you can while not running into as many things as possible. A nice, solid, basic game that whoa, cripes. You look away for 1 second and some guy just rear-ends you. But, I mean, it's a nice, solid game that I probably should have stopped talking about a while ago, but it's Laguna Racer. Yeesh. Although I do like how once you're at the top of the screen, I mean, it really makes you pay for speed, so you've got to, like, really focus in, because when you're at the top of the screen, you've got a lot less time to react to stuff versus when you're at the bottom of the screen. Not that you'd ever want to stay at the bottom of the screen. That won't get you anywhere. And the game does seem to keep track of your high scores, probably only for as long as the thing's turned on, but hey, that's a heck of a lot better than anything else. Yeah, it shows you like the high, but it also shows you the low. Because I mean, a lot of video games, they always show you like the high scores, and you see the high scores, and sometimes those high scores are like an order of magnitude higher than your score. And you just kind of see that, and you're like, there's no way I can set a high score, until you realize, like, oh, if I do an all clear, then I get 1,000,000 points versus 10,000 for a regular clear or whatever. You start realizing there's this ridiculous trick to get massive points, and you're like, well, that wasn't so hard. But, I mean, you see this game, it's like, it shows you the low, and it's like you see the low, it's like, psh, I can beat that. May not be the best at Laguna Racer, but I'm not the worst. And then you try it out, and you find out that you might indeed be the worst, or probably not. Probably aren't the worst at Laguna Racer. Ah, come on, I was doing so well. Jeez. Ah, come on. You like lose once, you completely lose your rhythm. It's kind of like Dance Dance Revolution. You like miss one, and then you're done. That's it. Although, hey, I went pretty far for that round. Although I don't know why it says last, because I set a record in my last run. And, oh man, this game doesn't even give you, like, the option of walking away. It basically just tricks you into, like, constantly playing. And, I mean, I guess that's your own fault for putting, like, more quarters than you were going to use. But, I mean, if you were a person back in the day and you put, like, 5 quarters into a machine, well, you're going to get all those 5 quarters, whether you're still interested or not. I can't find myself walking away. In fact, it doesn't even tell you how many quarters you have in the machine. Alright, machine, I'm going to rebel against you, but still, Laguna Racer, I mean, even though this is probably one of the first video games, it's surprisingly playable, surprisingly doable. I can... oh. I guess the timer's still... I thought for a second the timer wasn't going. This is... I mean, it's stuff like this that really gives you hope for video games, because it's like, if even the first few video games can be this good, what do we have in the future? And on that note, this cat's got a scat.